When you think of Australia, what comes to mind? Besides beautiful beaches and cool accents. For a lot of us, it's the wildlife, right? Specifically the kind of wildlife that makes you check your shoes before you put them on. Australia has this reputation for being, well, deadly. But what if I told you that today's Australia is basically a walk in the park compared to what it used to be? So here's what we're going to do. We'll start with the Australia we know today, just to set the stage. Then we're going to jump back in time, about 50,000 years to when giant reptiles ran the show. We'll also see how the mammals fought back, and then what happened when a brand new predator showed up. And we'll end with a question that honestly might change how you think about our place in the world. All right, first things first, let's just establish a baseline for danger. Modern-day Australia is famous for having a, let's say, disproportionate number of animals that can seriously ruin your day. And this isn't just a funny meme, the statistics are actually kind of nuts. Just look at this number. If you make a list of the 25 most venomous snakes in the entire world, Australia is home to 20 of them. 20! That includes all of the top 11. It's a concentration of deadly venom you just don't find anywhere else on Earth. And it's not just the snakes, right? You've got the cassowary, a bird that looks like a prehistoric velociraptor and is one of the only birds on record to have killed people. You've got gigantic saltwater crocs, great white sharks, and jellyfish with venom so potent it's terrifying. Yeah, it's definitely earned the nickname the Land of Nope. But here's the kicker. As scary as all that is, it's nothing. Because if we go back 50,000 years to the late Pleistocene era, Australia was a place straight out of your worst nightmares. And get this is right around the time the first humans showed up. Talk about a rough welcome wagon. See, back then, mammals were not at the top of the food chain. Oh no, this was an age of reptiles. We're talking giant, terrifying reptiles that make a modern salty look like a pet lizard. Let's meet the cast of characters. First up, we have the Quinkana, and I want to be really clear here. This wasn't some lizard that just looked like a croc. This was a true crocodilian that lived and hunted primarily on dry land. And they were massive. The biggest ones could get up to 6 meters long. That's 20 feet. So picture a predator that's double the size of an average American alligator, but you can't escape it just by running out of the water. Nope, it's coming for you. And the features on this thing are just pure nightmare fuel. It had long legs, holding its body up off the ground, built for chasing things down. And its teeth, they weren't cone-shaped for grabbing like a modern croc's. They were flat and serrated, like a T-Rex's. They were for slicing flesh. This was a land-based killing machine, plain and simple. As if a land croc wasn't enough, sharing this landscape was the largest terrestrial lizard we have ever discovered, Megalania. Its name literally means the great roamer, and man, did it ever live up to that name. So most of the big ones were probably around 1,200 pounds or so, which is already huge. But some estimates, based on the fossils we have, suggest it could have maxed out at a weight of nearly 2 tons. A 2-ton lizard. Just let that sink in. So let's break down its weapons. Just like its closest living cousin, the Komodo dragon, it had razor-sharp teeth and powerful claws. But here's the real kicker. It was almost certainly venomous. Its bite likely delivered an anticoagulant, so even if its prey got away, it would just bleed out. There was pretty much no escape. Okay, if you're not a fan of snakes, you might want to brace yourself. Meet Wannabe. This was a giant serpent from an extinct family of snakes that were just different. The way this thing killed its prey was just brutal. It would ambush and constrict, like a python, squeezing so hard it cut off blood flow to the brain. But, and this is the gnarly part, its jaw couldn't unhinge to swallow prey whole. So instead, it would use its teeth and its powerful body to just rip chunks off its victim. A truly gruesome predator. So you're probably wondering, how could any mammal possibly survive in this reptilian hellscape? Well, the answer is pretty simple. The mammals had to become monsters too. This was a full-blown evolutionary arms race, and trust me, the marsupials showed up to fight. Say hello to the Thylacoleo, also known as the marsupial lion. And no, it wasn't a cat. It was a marsupial, most closely related to, wait for it, the modern koala. But don't let that cute family connection fool you. This thing was an apex predator through and through. This right here is its claim to fame.
Thanks to a skull that was just packed with dense muscle, Thylacoleo had the most powerful bite, pound for pound, of any mammal, living or extinct, that we know of. A medium-sized one could bite with the same force as a lion 2.5 times its weight. Just insane.
And that bite force meant it was terrifyingly efficient. It had these huge, blade-like teeth that could slice through a windpipe, spinal cord, and major arteries all in one go. Researchers think it could kill a large animal in under a minute. For comparison, it can take an African lion 15 minutes or even longer to do the same job. Now, in an ecosystem with predators this insanely ferocious, even the plant eaters had to be built like absolute tanks. To survive, the herbivores basically had to evolve to be just as intimidating as the things hunting them. Just take a look at the Diprotodon. It was a relative of the wombat that grew to the size of an Asian elephant and supposedly had a bite strong enough to crush a femur. Or how about Dromornis, the thunderbird, a flightless bird that was taller than a person and weighed 1/4 of a ton? I mean, in this place, even the herbivores were hardcore.
So you have land crocs, giant venomous lizards, flesh-tearing snakes, and marsupial lions with bone-crushing jaws, all living together. And into this absolute meat grinder of a world walks a new predator. One that seemed completely, totally outmatched.
This timeline really puts it all into perspective. Right at the absolute peak of all this megafauna madness, about 50,000 years ago, the first humans arrive in Australia. They had absolutely no idea what they were walking into. You'd think, faced with odds like that, survival would be impossible. But what happened next just flips the entire story on its head, and it forces us to ask a really tough question.
Because humans didn't just survive in this land of nightmares, they thrived. We've just met land crocs, giant venomous lizards, and marsupial lions. But the archaeological evidence shows that these early people actively hunted this stuff. They faced down the horrors of prehistoric Australia, and they won. Which leaves us with one last, kind of unsettling thought. In a land packed full of monsters, was the most dangerous creature of all the one that had just shown up,